At my mom's funeral, my husband said he was too emotionally drained to join. I understood until I opened Instagram and saw him at a lake house party. The caption read, "Peace and quiet finally." I didn't say a word. But the next morning, his boss called me by mistake. And that's when it all fell apart. My mother passed away on a rainy Tuesday in late March. We held her funeral at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Albany, New York, the same church where she was baptized, married, and where she brought me every Sunday as a child. It was a modest service, filled with family and old friends. I was numb, but steady. Grief has a strange way of making you feel both hollow and heavy at the same time. My husband, Derek, wasn't there. He said, "I'm too emotionally drained to go. I just can't handle another funeral right now. I need some time alone." I didn't argue. We'd been married for 12 years, and I'd learned to pick my battles. He'd lost his uncle 2 months prior, and I thought maybe he was still processing that. I told myself, grief is different for everyone. I didn't want to make it about me. So I stood alone at the front pew, holding my brother's hand, watching the casket being lowered into the ground. I whispered goodbye to my mother, feeling the cold wind whip through my coat. That night, after the funeral, I sat in my childhood bedroom, scrolling through Instagram. I wasn't looking for anything in particular, just trying to distract myself from the silence. That's when I saw it. A photo of Derek, sitting on the deck of a lake house, beer in hand, surrounded by friends. The caption read, "Peace and quiet finally." My heart stopped. I stared at the photo, trying to make sense of it. The timestamp was from that afternoon, the same time I was standing at my mother's grave. I felt a wave of nausea. I didn't say anything. I didn't call him. I didn't text. I just sat there, staring at the screen, feeling a mix of anger, betrayal, and disbelief. The next morning, my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize. "Hello," I answered. "Hi, is this Mrs. Thompson?" a man's voice asked. "Yes, this is she." "Oh, I'm sorry, I was trying to reach Derek." "This is Mark, his boss at the firm." I must have dialed the wrong number. "No problem," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Well, since I have you on the line, I just wanted to express my condolences about your mother. Derek mentioned she passed away recently." "Thank you," I replied, my mind racing. "He said he was taking some time off to support you during the funeral. I hope everything went as well as it could." I felt a lump in my throat. "Yes, thank you," I managed to say. After we hung up, I sat in silence, the pieces starting to come together. When I returned home to our apartment in Brooklyn, Derek was already there, lounging on the couch, watching TV. "Hey," he said casually. I didn't respond. He looked up, sensing something was off. "What's wrong?" I pulled out my phone and showed him the Instagram post. He looked at it, then back at me. "I can explain," he started. "Don't bother," I said, my voice cold. "You lied to me. You said you were too emotionally drained to attend my mother's funeral, but you were at a lake house party with your friends." "I needed a break," he said defensively. "I couldn't handle another funeral." "But you could handle a party?" He didn't answer. "And you told your boss you were taking time off to support me." "So you lied to him too?" He looked away. "I can't do this anymore," I said, tears welling up in my eyes. "I can't be with someone who lies so easily, who chooses a party over supporting me during the hardest time of my life." I moved out the next day, staying with a friend while I figured out my next steps. I filed for divorce a week later. Derek tried to apologize, saying he made a mistake, that he was overwhelmed. But the damage was done. I realized that this wasn't just about the funeral. It was about a pattern of behavior, of selfishness, of avoidance, of putting his needs above mine. I deserved better. It's been a year since then. I've moved on, focusing on rebuilding my life, surrounding myself with people who truly care. Sometimes I still think about that Instagram post, the image of Derek smiling at the lake house while I stood alone at my mother's funeral. It serves as a reminder of the moment everything fell apart and the moment I found the strength to walk away. A month after filing for divorce, I thought things would calm down. I had moved into a small but cozy apartment in Queens, was seeing a therapist, and even picked up a part-time job at a bookstore to keep busy. I was finally starting to feel like myself again. Then one day, I got a letter. Not an email, not a text. A real, handwritten letter slid under my apartment door. No return address. Just my name on the envelope. Inside was a short note. You don't know everything. Ask him about Valerie. Then decide if walking away was enough. That's it. I read the letter a dozen times. I didn't recognize the handwriting. My heart pounded in my chest like a drum. Valerie? Who the hell was Valerie? That night, I couldn't sleep. My brain wouldn't stop spinning. I went down the rabbit hole of Derek's social media again, looking for any trace of a woman named Valerie. Nothing. But I did remember something. A few months before Mom died, Derek had started going on weekend business retreats more often, claiming they were required for senior associates at his law firm. He'd come back relaxed, sometimes even tanned. Back then, I didn't think much of it. Now, it felt like a slap. I pulled up our old shared credit card statements I still had access to. There it was, repeated hotel charges in Saratoga Springs. Same resort. Same weekends. I called the hotel, pretending to be his assistant. Hi. I'm confirming a few dates my boss stayed with you. Derek, last name is Moore. They gave me the dates without blinking. Then I asked, and was he alone for those stays? The receptionist hesitated. I believe it was always a double room booked under his name. He usually checked in with a woman. My blood went cold. I wasn't going to let this go. I needed the truth, even if it broke me. I called Derek. Who's Valerie? Silence. I heard him breathe in sharply. What are you talking about? Don't lie. I know about the weekends. Saratoga Springs. The resort. I know you weren't alone. He was quiet for a moment. Then, it wasn't what you think. I laughed bitterly. It never is. She was a paralegal at my firm. She doesn't work there anymore. It was just something that happened. I ended it months ago. I felt sick. So, while I was losing my mom, you were out screwing someone else. It wasn't like that. I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did. I hung up. I didn't cry this time. I was too angry, too betrayed. But I still didn't know who sent the letter. A week later, I got a Facebook message. It was from Valerie. You don't know me, but I think we should talk. I didn't know you were still together when Derek and when things started. I found out later. I ended it immediately. But there's something else you should know. It's about your mom. My stomach dropped. I agreed to meet her in person at a coffee shop near Central Park. She was younger than me, maybe 27. Nervous. Her hands shook as she stirred her tea. I didn't know he was married. He said he was separated. Then one day I saw a picture of you two together. That was it for me. Why did you message me now? I asked. She hesitated. Because Derek told me something after your mom passed. Something that didn't sit right with me. I leaned in. He told me he was thinking of leaving you soon anyway. That he'd been waiting for the right time. And then he said, at least I won't have to deal with the mother-in-law anymore. I froze. I asked what he meant. He laughed and said, let's just say it was convenient timing. I left that coffee shop shaking. Valerie's words stuck in my brain like a splinter. I couldn't stop thinking about them. Was it just a cruel joke? Or was there something more? My mother had a heart condition. She had medication she needed to take every day. I remembered how, the week she passed, I'd asked Derek to help refill her prescription while I was away for work. He had offered. When I went to pick it up at the pharmacy, they said no one had come. I didn't think much of it then. We figured Mom just skipped a dose or two. But now, I went back to the pharmacy. I asked if they had a record of any pickup attempts from that week. They checked. No one named Derek Moore ever picked up the medication. My hands started to tremble. I didn't go to the police. Not yet. I went to a lawyer instead. A woman my brother recommended. I told her everything from the funeral to the Instagram post to Valerie's story and the missed prescription. She leaned back in her chair. Do you have proof? She asked. Not yet, I admitted. Then we need to get some. If there's even a chance this man interfered with your mother's care, we need to dig deeper. She hired a private investigator. The PI was good. He found records of texts between Derek and Valerie. He found security footage of Derek checking into the resort with her. But the biggest shock? He found a deleted email backup on one of Derek's cloud accounts, an old conversation between Derek and someone named Dr. Harris. A doctor. In the emails, Derek asked about side effects of missed doses and how long someone could survive without the meds. It was sent 3 weeks before Mom died. The name Dr. Harris stuck with me. I remembered it, faintly. He wasn't my mother's primary physician. That was Dr. Kellerman. But I remembered hearing the name once in passing. I brought the email thread to my lawyer, who immediately subpoenaed phone and email records. What came back made me feel like I was stuck in a slow-moving nightmare. Derek and Dr. Harris had exchanged over 30 emails in the year leading up to my mom's death. But here's the twist. Dr. Harris wasn't a doctor anymore. He lost his license 5 years ago for overprescribing medications and falsifying patient records. The kicker? He and Derek were college roommates. They'd stayed in touch. And one of the emails was very clear. You said you needed her out of the way. Just remember, skipped heart meds can do it without anyone noticing. You don't owe me anything, yet. It wasn't just a cruel comment Derek had made. It was a plan. I was sick to my stomach. But my lawyer warned me again. Without hard, direct evidence, the police wouldn't go near it. Emails could be faked. Intent was hard to prove. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I reached out to Derek. I told him I wanted to talk. That I missed him. That maybe I was willing to reconsider things. I played the part. I smiled through the call. I told him maybe we moved too fast with the divorce. He bought it. He invited me to his new apartment. I went, after hiding a voice-activated camera inside my purse. We sat on his balcony, drinking wine. I asked him, "Do you ever think about my mom?" He laughed bitterly. I try not to. She never liked me. But in a weird way, she made things easier. Easier? I asked. He shrugged. You weren't as clingy after she passed. You focused on yourself. I had more room. I let him talk. I know I messed things up, he said. But sometimes, people get what's coming to them. Your mom, for instance, she was always in the way. Is that why you didn't refill her meds? He went quiet. Too quiet. You're overthinking things, he said, looking away. But he didn't deny it. And the camera caught everything. My lawyer handed over the audio and the email thread to the district attorney in Albany. A week later, Derek was arrested on charges of reckless endangerment, criminal negligence, and conspiracy to commit medical fraud. Dr. Harris was picked up the same day in New Jersey. It made the local news. Headlines read, "Brooklyn lawyer charged in mother-in-law's suspicious death, he didn't get bail." The evidence was too strong. The look on his face when I showed up to the arraignment? Priceless. Pale. Ashy. Like he finally understood what it felt like to lose everything. But it didn't end there. His family turned on me. They blamed me. Said I was making it up. That I framed him. That I was bitter about the divorce. They came at me on Facebook. Left voicemails. One of his sisters even showed up at my apartment door screaming. I stayed strong. But it wasn't easy. The one person who stood by me was my brother, Marcus. He'd always been skeptical of Derek. He's too smooth, he used to say. Like a magician. Makes things disappear. Turns out, he was right just when I thought the worst was over. The investigator called again. Do you know about the storage unit? What storage unit? We found out Derek had a rented space in upstate New York. Paid in cash under a fake name. The investigator got a warrant. What we found inside felt like the final nail in the coffin. Love letters. Dozens of them. But not to Valerie. To another woman. Amanda. The letters stretched back years. Before Valerie. Before the marriage even fell apart. In one of the letters, he wrote, "When the time is right, I'll leave her. Once her mother's gone, she'll be too fragile to fight. It'll be easy." The man I thought I knew never existed. Amanda came forward after the arrest. She didn't want to. She was scared. She had a son. Derek wasn't his father, but he'd helped pay for the boy's schooling for years. He promised her a future, a house, a quiet life by the lake. She never knew about me, or Valerie, or the emails. When she found out, she agreed to testify. She told the court how Derek used to talk about timing and how, when the old woman is gone, things will fall into place. She thought he was just being callous, not literal. The trial began 6 months after his arrest. I sat in the courtroom every day. I didn't flinch. I watched every second. I wanted him to see me there, strong. Then, during week 2, the prosecution dropped the bomb, a secret life insurance policy. Derek had taken one out on my mother 3 years before she passed. A $250,000 policy. Listed himself as the secondary beneficiary under Family Support Emergency Clause. He forged my mother's signature. That changed everything. Manslaughter charges were added. Fraud. Intent. The judge allowed it in. When Derek took the stand, he tried to cry. He said he was a broken man. He said he loved me, that he never meant to hurt anyone. But the jury didn't buy it. They found him guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to 25 years without parole. Dr. Harris got 10. Amanda testified. Valerie testified. Even his coworkers came forward about the lies he told. And me? I walked out of that courtroom taller than I'd ever stood. After the trial, the media wouldn't let it go. My face was everywhere. Headlines, interviews, podcasts. People online were calling me the Widow Avenger. Some even made memes. It was weird and messed up. People assumed I was this symbol of strength and justice. But what they didn't know, what kept me up at night, was the truth. I ignored the signs. Not just during the last year. For years, I brushed off Derek's lies. His coldness. The little things that didn't make sense. I excused his distance. Laughed off his gaslighting. I even once lied to my mom to cover up his missed birthdays. I helped paint the fake picture. And I hated myself for it. After the verdict, Valerie messaged me again. "I hope this brings you peace," she wrote. It didn't. Because I had one last question burning in my mind. Why now? Why did she really come forward? I asked to meet again, and she agreed. That's when the final piece of the puzzle clicked. Valerie didn't just find out about me by accident. She knew about me months earlier. She just didn't care, at first. Turns out, Derek broke things off with her not out of guilt, but because she got pregnant and he pressured her to take care of it. When she refused, he ghosted her, changed his number, blocked her. That's when she found me. That's when the first letter came. Her truth wasn't clean. It wasn't noble. It was revenge. Just like mine. There's something I've never told anyone until now. The night before my mom died, she called me. Said she didn't feel right. That something was off. I was tired. I was angry about work. I didn't answer. She left a voicemail. I listened to it weeks later. Her voice was shaky, soft. She said, "I don't feel good. Can you call me back?" I never did. If I had, maybe I would have checked on her. Maybe I would have caught the missed medication. Maybe she'd still be here. So no, I'm not just a victim in this story. I made my own mistake. And it cost me my mother. I thought the story was done. That he was locked away, forgotten. But 2 years into his sentence, I got a letter. From prison. It was short. Just 3 lines. You think you won. You didn't. The worst parts of me didn't die. They just moved into someone else. Watch your back. I laughed when I read it. But then, days later, I got a text from an unknown number. So, what was Derek really like? Smirking face, the number traced back to Amanda. She was still in touch with him. Still visiting him. She didn't testify out of anger or justice. She did it to clear the path. I had two options: pretend it was all behind me and move on. Finish what I started. So I made a call. To a private investigator I hadn't used in months. I want to know everything about Amanda. Everything. Who she talks to. Where she works. What she does when she visits that prison. Weeks later, I got the file. And what I found? She was sending Derek money. Helping him build a case to appeal. She was planning to marry him behind bars. She was trying to carry the torch he dropped. I could have ignored it. Could have walked away and lived my life. But I didn't. I sent the file to the Department of Corrections. Showed them how Amanda smuggled letters, broke visitation rules, and gave him contraband materials for his appeal. She was banned from ever contacting him again. Derek lost his shot at appeal. His privileges were revoked. He was moved to a maximum security facility, solitary, limited visitation, no outside communication. He lost everything. And Amanda? I sent copies of the file to her job. Her family, her church, every mask she wore ripped off. I didn't care how it made me look, because I wasn't trying to look good. I was trying to make sure no one ever helped him again. I sit alone some nights and still hear my mom's voice. I still picture that graveyard, the cold wind, the empty seat beside me where my husband should have been. I wonder sometimes what kind of person that makes me, someone who used kindness as bait, who weaponized the truth, who set fire to every bridge. But then I remember, they buried my mother while he drank beer by the lake. And smiled. So no, I don't regret a thing.